The Arizona football offense is showing signs of light. Should we be excited about that, or is this just another example of fool's gold?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Today's episode is brought to you today by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. Check it out. All right, now, we're going to talk Arizona football. We're going to talk about the offense. Is this fool's gold? What's going on in camp? All of that good stuff. But first, Brennan talked about, he said this offseason, we got to get better offensively. We got to put in the time. We got to get better schemes and all of that. And again, I have no clue if Seth Doege is the guy or not, but so far it definitely looks a lot better than Dino Babers. When you watch Seth Doege on the sideline, when you watch it with Noah Fifita, these are two guys that look like they are on the same page. Watching them, they both, like I said, you can tell that they both have a great deal of respect for each other, and it's far more of a partnership. How about that? Yes, he's going to still answer to Seth Doege at the end of the day, but it's not just a yes, sir, I need to do this, or no, sir, I need to do that. There's none of that, and I like that. There's no, Seth Doege wants to coach Noah Fifita. He wants to show him that, this is how you can, this is how we can best help each other, and I love seeing that. That is the best thing about all of this. Last year, it felt like, especially later on, it felt like Noah was basically just coaching himself, and that's not something that really anybody wants. Again, this is still as smart as he is, this is still a 21-year-old. This isn't a guy that is, a grizzled veteran or anything like that. So, like I said, it's been cool to watch. They're also focusing on getting the ball out very, very quickly, which I love. That is a huge part about all of this, is that you got to be able to get the ball out quickly in this offense, and they have shown that they can do exactly that. And the receivers, like I said, we've talked about it. We'll continue to talk about it. The receivers have been top notch. They've been there. They've made plays. Not only have they made plays, they've also shown as well that they can, that they can climb the ladder. They can go get the football. They can do a lot of different things. So Noah's not out there by himself, and I think that's something that, like I said, you got to look at, and I think you've got to appreciate. Then, if you're Arizona, you've got a coach there that knows what he's doing, and that is a big part of all of this. Now, the next aspect to all of this then is being able to make that next move then. And that comes to the offensive line and the players around him. And we're going to get to the offensive line. But the running game also very solid. Like I said, Kendrick Risano, if you were to tell me that he's the best NFL prospect on the offense, I wouldn't be surprised by that, because he's big, he's physical, and he looks the way that you're supposed to look. That's something that I keep coming back to. You look the way that a guy like that is supposed to look. A 5-star type back like that, that's the way that they are supposed to look, and it's been very cool. It's been awesome to watch it so far. They both, like I said, they've both shown out in a big way. And then Ishmael Mahdi and Quincy Craig. And then you've also got Robinson as well, the running back out of Texas. They got a lot of running backs. And like I said, with Alonzo Carter, the thing about him, I don't really worry about having a lack of running back depth when you have somebody like Alonzo Carter, because he has shown time and time again that he's going to be able to get that room. Now, somebody might say, they might go, well, what about last year? You had Quali Conley and Risano. Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, that was gonna merit more than a mention. He is in the NFL right now, and I think if he were to be a starter, I don't know that anybody would be that surprised. He is a big time talent. He showed out, and he's obviously opened the eyes of a lot of NFL scouts. He's that guy, as the kids would say. He is him, as the kids would say. Okay, now, as far as the offensive line, that is a question that we've got to get to, because there are, like I said, it looks like they are starting to kind of figure out a little bit about what's going on, and there could be a wild card involved in all of this. But first, game time, my friends, game time. We've all been there before. You logging on early and you're waiting for concert tickets or game tickets, and you think you're about to get it, and you hit send or you hit complete, whatever the case may be, and it just goes away. And you're like, man, I was waiting this whole time, and then you lose your tickets. That is annoying. Nobody likes that. Game time comes in. Game time makes concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Game time, again, everybody's using it for a reason. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Don't get stuck doing all that stuff that you don't want to have to do. Check it out with Game Time. They'll get you covered and at a good rate. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's talk a little bit about the offensive line. Now, by all accounts, Alexander Doege has been pretty good in camp. Now, if you remember a little bit about Deuce, the Deuce Boost, is that the previous coaching staff loved him. They thought that he was going to be able to replace Jordan Morgan at tackle. He's not that. But as a guard, he's really good. I don't know if really good is the right term, but he's very strong. He's big. He's a big road grader, and he is impressed in camp. The coaching staff likes him a great deal, and not only does the coaching staff like him a great deal, he's also shown as well that this is a guy that, like I said, when you watch him, you can just tell that he's a little bit, he's very strong. There's a lot of people that come around and you don't know exactly, how strong they are, or are they going to be able to. This guy's got football functioning strength. And that's, like I said, that's something you either have or you don't. And he's got that. I mean, like I said, you watch him for 5 seconds and you can be like, man, that's a big dude right there. And so again, he's that. Now, the other thing I think when you watch him though is that you can also see as well that he's definitely going to be locked in at guard. And not only is he going to be locked in at guard, he's going to be, like I said, he's going to be ready to go. He's strong, he's physical, but there is a little bit of an interesting situation here. DeCambra is going to be your center. DeCambra is really, really good. Like I said, he was one of the better guys in the portal, and they were able to get him. And I think they thought they were going to put him at guard, but they weren't able to get a center. So you're going to move him to center, and he's been just fine. Hasn't had any problems. None of the, the situations you had last year with some of the backups. But I think then when Rhino gets back into town, when Rhino's healthy, I think you're going to see Rhino at guard. So I think you're going to see an interior of DeCambra, Rhino, and DeCambra, Rhino, and Deuce. That's going to be your interior line, and the coaching staff, I think, feels pretty good about it. So, we'll find out. And I think it's your tackles. You're probably looking at Bounds, and you're probably looking at Ty Buchanan. So, like I said, if the offensive line, and I'm just going to keep saying this, if the offensive line can be just serviceable, then this team, I think, is going to be pretty darn. I think this offense is going to be pretty darn good because the talent around it is pretty good. We haven't even talked about Tyler Powell. Kean Burnett's hurt again. Here's where I'm at with Kean. I like Kean a lot. I love the family. Great people all the way around. But with Kean, I'm just kind of at a stage now where I got to see it. You got to stay healthy. If, right now, Tyler Powell's going to be that guy. Sam Olsen's been okay, but I've got to see it. And obviously we have not seen that yet. But Noah, like I said, the vibes are all good. And I think that's an exciting part about all of this is that, and, hope springs eternal. I know this, in a couple of weeks, we'll know in a couple of weeks. Well, I don't know, a couple of weeks. We'll probably know in about a month if Arizona is going to be good or not. But it's going to basically be based entirely off the offense and what we are able to see out there. So we like I said, we shall find out. But overall, though, across the board, it's looked pretty good. And like I said, the O-line has looked good. Now, there also is a question, too, about the defense and what they've been showing and what Danny Gonzales has up his sleeve. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, Danny Gonzales has said that, and again, I don't know that there's actually this, I don't know that anybody's sitting here and saying that this is going to be a great offensive or a great defensive line, but Danny Gonzales said it's going to be up to him to be able to get as much out of this line as possible. If he can get something out of this line, as much out of this line as possible, then he can mix some things around. So the first one is Malachi Bailey from Alcorn State has been really, really good in practice. He was a guy too, and I was a little bit more bullish on him because he put up numbers at Alcorn State. This wasn't a situation where he was at a small school and he didn't put up numbers. He put up numbers. I expect you, if you're at a smaller school like that, I expect you to be able to put up numbers. He's shown that he could put up some numbers, so that that part was good. And then you look at the other one, Trey Smith. I think Trey Smith, like we saw enough of Trey Smith last year to know that he's solid. Is he great? No. But is he solid enough? Yes. I think there's every reason to hope that he can be good enough. And if he can be good enough, then I think Arizona can be I think Arizona could be in decent shape. And then you got Riley Wilson, and you got like I said, Trey Smith. You got Malachi Bailey. Like I said, that's an interesting group. The biggest concern that I have about this defensive line is not necessarily the edge rushers, it's the interior again. Deshaun McKnight, he's been solid. The problem with Deshaun McKnight, though, is that he's also, you just need Deshaun McKnight on the field. And then next to him, like I said, Tia Savea, I like Tia Savea. I like Tia Savea a great deal. The thing with Tia Savea, though, is that, like I said, you watch Tia Savea, and he's going to have to stay on the field pretty much the entire time, along with Deshaun McKnight. I don't really love the backup behind him. I mean, Palu, but again, those two guys got to stay healthy. So they're razor thin, pardon the pun, at that defensive tackle position. But Danny Gonzales also is known for a guy that's going to try to dial up some blitzes, dial up some some different stuff out there. And if he can do it, then Arizona is going to be in very, very good shape. Because again, like I said, I like the offense. I'm becoming more and more bullish on the offense. I think it also helps too to have a offensive coordinator in Seth Doege that we know for a fact knows what he's doing. That is a big part to all of this, is having somebody that knows what he is doing. But Danny Gonzales is going to have to get creative. Now, I think it does help a little bit that he's in a situation now where that he's got he's got a fairly good defensive backfield. You look at the corners. You got Marquise Groves-Killebrew. You got Javion Cole. You got Garnes, and you've got some other guys that have shown out. It's now going to be up to Danny Gonzales to be able to put those guys in a position where they're not just back there forever, along with Genesis Smith and Dalton Johnson, like Latrell as well. So this is all going to come down. Can they get to the quarterback? If they can get to the quarterback, then I think that Arizona is going to be in decent shape. So we're going to continue to talk about that. Now, tomorrow, we're going to preview Bryce James a little bit. He's going to speak with the media. It's going to be exciting to see what he has to say. Obviously, the son of LeBron James, by all accounts, he's fit in seamlessly with this squad, and he doesn't stink. This isn't a situation where you're bringing somebody in just because his dad's name. He can shoot the three. He's probably going to redshirt. He's a smart player. And it's just about kind of getting him to that next level. Whereas, by the time maybe he's a redshirt sophomore, he's probably going to be able to play some. Now, like LeBron's camp, they're not under any illusions. They know that he's got to continue to get better and that he's not there yet. But that's part of the battle. When you're dealing with somebody like LeBron's kid, is LeBron James on board with everything that, that's occurring? And if LeBron James is on board, then obviously it makes it a lot easier for all of that to happen. But like I said, the offenses look good. The offense has been solid. Not only has the offense been solid, the offensive line, I think, gives you some reason for optimism. And I like Seth Doege. So we're going to we'll go from there and see what happens. But I'm going to keep saying it, 5 wins minimum. And if you get to a bowl game, the season's a success. And then you hope for year 3 that you can have that real breakout one. But again, we'll be back with you tomorrow, though, talking a little bit of Bryce James, talking some more Arizona football as well. But as always, thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats, making this your first listen of the day. Locked on, your team every day.